Hello everybody, my name is Michael and welcome to another episode of Just Make Game, video series about making games. Alright, so first up this month, we finally created a Patreon account after about a year or so of going, oh, we should probably do that, and people asking us to do it. So we have one, you can see it here. It's important to note that well, if you're not interested in Patreon at all, then you're not going to see anything different on the channel. Videos are going to continue as normal, and nothing's really going to change from that perspective. But if you do want to give us money because you like our videos and you like our games, then you can do that via Patreon if you're so inclined. But yeah, there's nothing that's going to change the channel. It's not going pay to view or any shit like that, so, you know.
So this month I've been working on some more enemy sprites. There are two different beetle enemies. One has a melee attack and one has a ranged attack. There is also a crab enemy that will actually grow wings and have a flying swooping attack. So they've been pretty fun to work on. I was also hoping to get the animations done for this fishman sprite. But unfortunately I ran out of time for that. I'm actually really looking forward to animating him though. Check out the progression from shitty sprite to nice looking sprite. It's always a really good idea to iterate on your designs before you go ahead and start animating them. We did a bunch of work this month on our website, our social media pages, and our Patreon page. Mike makes all of the really beautiful looking images, and I mostly work on the text for those kind of things. Now, this kind of stuff always takes a while because it's always hard to write about yourself. It's always hard to write about what you're doing. Well, I find it's hard anyway. Mike will talk a bit more about the website and the stuff that we've done later as well too. The plan for me next month is to work on the intro animation for Commandment, and I'll also work on the animations for the Fishman. I find it's really good to have two tasks to switch between, because if you get bored or stuck on one thing, you can swap to your other task, and then when you get bored or stuck on that one, you can swap back. But I find if I swap between more than two tasks, I kind of get lost and forget where I'm up to on things. So 2 is a good number for me. I want this intro video to look really good and really impressive because it's going to be the first thing you see when you boot up Commandment. I've never really done this kind of thing before, so I am looking forward to it. It's a big task, but I'm pretty excited about starting work on it and excited about making it look really good.
This month, I made 1 million bloody weapon sprites. I just made so many sprites. Now, these aren't the same weapon sprites as you would have seen in the month before, and I think even in the month before that, where they were designed for the UI and the HUD, but these weapon sprites are designed to attach to the player, so that when the player swings his weapon, you can actually see that specific weapon being swung. It wasn't originally going to be done like this, so what we were going to do was use generic weapons for Commandment, kind of like what you'd see in Diablo 1, for example, where the characters essentially had a sword, an axe, a bow, and that sort of thing, and it was just a generic weapon, and if you picked up a weapon of that type, it just looked like a generic sword or an axe or whatever. We tried that, and it didn't really end up reading well, so the main problem was that it made a lot of weapons feel very similar to each other, because even though they act slightly differently and they got different damage and speed values and things like that, they look the same. So that's got a big sort of, you know, mental impact, and you go, oh, it's just the same shit. So now there's a whole bunch of variations for each weapon, just as many as there are on the HUD itself, and they're all done. So they're all super low res, and they're all kind of cute, and it was kind of interesting trying to draw something that low resolution. They're not actually in the game yet, so it's just sprites on a sprite sheet. It's actually going to be pretty easy to implement them into the game, because the way I've designed the code is that it's done in a very modular fashion. So I was thinking ahead when I originally did the code for the weapons and the sprites that surround that. So I'm thinking that perhaps something like this would need to be done in the future. So I've essentially just got to make a bunch of variables and then make them point at the right sprites, and then it pretty much just works.
And again, it just works.
I've also spent some time this month catching up on things that I've been putting off for quite a while. So things like getting our website updated, because it's been sitting there exactly the same since Bannerman launched, which is like a year ago now. I've also been doing things like getting the social media updated, so all the logos and the graphics for the different social media accounts all match and they all look nice. Before they were there were some that were a bit neglected in there. We've got a Facebook account that doesn't really have anything posted on it at all, apart from, hey, there's a Just Make game coming out this month. And that's it. So they've all been updated, they all look nice, they're all actually active now, because we're actually trying to post on them at a regular sort of intervals, and, you know, actually things of behind the scenes of what we're doing and that sort of jazz. I'm pretty terrible at staying up to date with things like this, because they're not directly related to the game, and then I know I should be doing them regardless, and I don't, so then I feel bad, and then it sort of builds up until eventually a year later I decide to just take some time and do it. There will be a website specifically for Commandment soon as well, but that isn't up yet because mainly I'm not sure if we like the name Commandment or not. Bannerman was called Longsword for quite a while, and I'm glad we changed that to something else, and it might be the same case with Commandment. I don't know, I can't decide if I actually like it or not, so that's kind of waiting until we decide. Okay, well I think that about covers it. Yep, that'll be about it. Again, check out Patreon if you just hate money for whatever reason and you just want to throw it at us. Otherwise, I'll see you again next month for another episode of Just Make Game. Bye-bye. Put your glasses on, nothing will be wild. There's no blame, there's no fame, it's up to you.